Nice to have you with us. Coming up next on the show, Keith Michael, Director and Lead Trainer at Food Safe Limited. We're talking to him about, you see those little tags on your food that try and tell you when they're no good anymore, when they expire, when they're best before. What is the difference? Can you eat the food after that? Well, he's going to break it all down for us next.
So an interesting stat, apparently New Zealand households are wasting an average of $1,300 a year on unused food and misunderstandings of best before dates and use-by dates and expiry dates and all of those things you find on your food seller. It equates to a lot. There's a lot of wastage, man. And, there has always been this ongoing argument, what's the deal? Can I eat before the expiry date? Can I go after expiry date? What's the difference between the best before date and expiry date? Sort it out for us, fellas. And everybody's line is different. Yes, when you're eating in a group situation, some people are like, that's all good. Just cook it up. Others are like, no, it's in the bin. It's in the bin. Well, let's sort it out this morning. Yeah, we've got a special guest joining us from Food Safe Limited, Director and Lead Trainer Keith Michael on the phone. Kia ora, Keith. Good morning.
Kia ora and good morning, Sela and beyond. Hi to you and to all your listeners.
Oh, hello to you. We heard you were tuned in for Adam versus Eve and actually heard the ladies still in the lead.
Yeah. If I can just say, well done to all the ladies. You are doing well. I'm so glad you are leading the quiz stakes. Good on you.
Oh, nice. Very good. Hey, so, you deal with this stuff full time, right? Lead trainer and director at Food Safe Limited. So, what are we missing around all of this stuff? Best before, use by, expiry? What are some misunderstandings people have around this?
I can understand, and it was useful that you referenced the Radio New Zealand article about the misunderstanding and how quite a lot of people end up throwing away their food. So let's just start with the definitions for yourself and your listeners. So best before date, how is it defined? It's a date or the last date by which you can expect the food to retain all of its quality attributes, meaning color, flavor, taste, texture, freshness. Those are all the things that would deteriorate after that date. However, it's still safe for you to eat the food after that date. So that's the big misunderstanding where people think that a best before date means it's a date set in stone and you can't consume the product. In terms of,
means it's kind of declining in quality after that.
Absolutely, but there's no food safety risk, as in you're not going to get sick from the product, you're not going to throw up, you're not going to vomit, you're not going to have all those symptoms that we associate with illness. In terms of an expiry or use by date for yourself and your listeners, it's the last date by which food is safe to eat, meaning after this date, the food should not be eaten for health and food safety reasons. So that's the technical difference. And just to clarify, about 99% of the food that we consume that might be in your pantry at home is or has a best before date. So everything from your milk, your cheese that we were talking about a little bit earlier that people would nick, for example, lollies, biscuits, noodles, soup, pretty much most things in your kitchen would have a best before date. A few things would have an expiry date. For example, some meat, some chicken, some seafood. And companies do this by what's called testing at a food lab. And essentially what they do is they do something called challenge testing, as well as some predictive modeling to analyze if there's a risk that bacteria can still grow in the fridge or freezer. So that's the technical definition before we get into the useful information for your listeners.
That's a really, really good summation, and you've broken it down. The quality of food is best before that date. Once it goes over the date, you lose a little bit of quality.
Yes.
Have you had people ask you, Keith, about, hey, that's all well and good, but I go by the sniff test.
Yeah.
like with milk.
Absolutely.
You see the expiry date. Yeah. So what's your call there?
Yeah. So I'll give you all your listeners and yourself a quick little microbiology lesson. Anytime you're consuming a food item, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's milk or cheese or drink, ask yourself the question, does this have salt? Does this have sugar? Does this have vinegar or is it acid? And is it low water activity, meaning is it more dry as compared to more wet? And finally, does it have preservative in it? And if your answer is yes, it's going to have a long shelf life. So an example would be ketchup. Lots of salt, lots of sugar, lots of vinegar. Some brands might have preservative. If you look at a can of ketchup, for example, it's quite thick, not very wet, low water activity. And in that example, ketchup would last for well over 2 years, for example. So if you're looking at a best before date on a ketchup can, that's what you're looking at. But let's come back to milk. Milk, not a lot of salt, not a lot of sugar. It's got a little bit of lactose, but we can't taste it. It's not acidic. If not, we're going to spit it out, obviously. Means it's curdling. It's quite wet. Very short shelf life. You'll think about your pasteurized milk at home. It'll have between about a 7-day to 10-day shelf life. So you're absolutely right. A sniff test is a fairly good way to determine quality. However, I just wanted to clarify a technical difference. Food quality bacteria, the things that make the food go rancid, smelly, don't look good, those kinds of things, they don't necessarily make us sick. The pathogenic bacteria that make us sick, it's quite hard to smell them in food or taste them in food. That's the challenge we face.
Right, so something could smell fresh enough but still be contaminated with the salmonella or something along those lines.
Absolutely. That's the challenge our viewers and our listeners face. The sniff tests would work for some things like with milk. It'll tell you whether it's curdled or not, but you can't sniff the pie, for example, if you're out on a...
So, with, I mean, the labels of expiry and stuff, you talk about they take it to a lab, they go through the testing and stuff like that, and there's certain food like, red meat probably goes a little bit longer than, say, chicken and maybe fish and things like that. Do they have to be quite conservative on those expiry dates? Because I imagine they don't want to put it right up against the line of when they're like, oh, after this, it's definitely going to be bad. Is there a buffer? They must have to give you a bit of a run-in, to try and keep people well away from it, right?
Sure, and it's a fair comment, and it's quite a smart one. Just to clarify, you're absolutely right. Let's take milk, for example. You talked about milk a little bit earlier, and most of your listeners would have milk in their fridge. Milk, for example, would have roughly a 2-day safety margin built in. There's some assumptions, though. So there's an assumption that you've been storing the milk at the right temperature, as in chilled below 4 degrees. There's some assumptions that it's not been lying out. There's some assumptions that you were not drinking directly from the bottle. You're pouring it into a glass, for example, because all those small little things can alter the shelf life of a product. But you're absolutely right. There is a safety margin built into things. Good point.
Yeah, no, and good on you, and true too. I don't know any savage that would drink milk straight from the bottle. Seller, I can see you wouldn't know anyone to do something like that in their own house either.
They call themselves Christian? I don't know. I don't think so. Keith, you've been very insightful this morning. Thank you so much for giving up your time. You've cleared up a whole lot of stuff. Thank you.
Hey, you're most welcome. Good luck and have a great day, everyone. Cheers.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. That
Kia ora.
Keith
Bye-bye.
Michael, Director and Lead Trainer at Food Safe Limited, New Zealand. What a great guy. I mean, that was a fantastic chat.
Food Safe, training solutions and services for high-performance people and food companies.